already completed, and they are going to use it for the season premiere for the summer.
Oh, girl.
But I caught myself reading nasty comments, and it started to, yes, I know. And I got off really quick. I read 3 and then I got off, and I was like, I'm not doing any more of this. Like, that doesn't matter. None of that matters.
There's 2 ways to have the tallest building, right?
Yep. Tear one down or build yours bigger.
So in building yours, more people will spend more time and energy trying to tear yours down than build their own. So listen, what's Ray Higdon say? If you ain't got haters, you ain't doing it, right?
Yep. And I was going to do I'm trying to get the girls to school and everything, but I was going to do a live real quick this morning, and I was going to tell him, like, I really liked watching myself, like my posture, the way that I was able to speak. Like, I wanted to be like, oh, this is all because, like, I watched this man and I listened to him and I'm talking and I'm doing all these things. And it was just like, I could see all of my self-development and all of the things that we've been doing. Like, it's really paid off. And it's just, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little crazy, but I'm watching it.
You're awesome. We'll go get the girls, and then if you get a chance, come on back in and we'll have some fun.
Okay, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, good. Go get the girls ready. Hey, good morning, everybody. We were just having a little sneak peek of the Heather Love show, and Heather Love was just on, I think it was Nat Geo, but I'm not sure what the National Geographic, I'm pretty sure, called Locked Up Abroad. And her episode premiered last night, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that. And the owners, the director said, she sent her an email this morning, said it did so well without any publicity. They're going to add another 2 minutes to it and make it the season premiere and the promotion for the summer show, the summer season. So how cool is that? We've got it. We've got another live, what would you call it? Media star in our calls this morning. So along with Monique and some amazing souls. So good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? It is, what is today? It is Friday, February 21st. Is it Friday? Yes, it is. It's Friday. It's Friday, February 21st, 2020. My name's Sean Murphy, along with Amazing Band of Misfits. Each morning we gather together to have story time. It's story time. And these story times are to awaken, to unlock, to unleash, to build up, to create, to just do more of what we want and less of what we don't. We're doing less. We're doing more by doing less. So good morning, everybody. Great to have you here. There's Ada and Angie and Bree and Connie and Dana and Heather and Jasmine and Londo and Laura and Malik and Manny and Michelle and Ralph and Raymond and Rhonda and Roz. Oh, yeah, and Ryan and Yeneth. So how's everybody doing this morning? Go ahead and send out your 3 messages this morning. That would be awesome. And if you're new to the call, drop an N in the chat. Drop an N in the chat. RBP's running the Angie here this morning. That's so very cool. Oh, wow, Connie, that's awesome. Yeah, she was just talking with this morning about how her emails are blowing up and people are just absolutely amazed. And the director is just so absolutely in love with her story. And it's all good. It's all good. And to think there was a part of her that didn't want to tell the story that said, no, nobody really needs to hear that. That works with all of our stories. So that being said, let me know that thanks, Ralph. Ralph's got the big D going on there with Dunn for getting the 3 messages out. And the messages, somebody asks me, usually we got a question each morning. Well, what should I send in this? I see people sending their messages out. Hey, Crispy, thank you, Christian. Great to have you here. These messages are to actually make space. Actually make space. What do you mean make space? I'm giving something away. Well, if you had a bank account that could only hold $1,000, 1,000 bills, and they were filled with $1 bills, listen, This just downloaded. I love this. Good morning, LaToya. If you had a space for 1,000 bills, that's all it could do. You could only put 1,000 bills into this space, and that would be your entire net worth. And it was filled with $1 bills. And as fast as you could give them away, you allowed the universe to start the process of filling it back up, because it'll always be full. Listen carefully. It'll always be full, your bank account. You ready for this? Your bank account is full right now. I know that's going to be hard for some of you to hear, but I need you to hear it, because when you understand that your bank account is already full, it's because you got to give it away. And when you give stuff away, you've got to be prepared. You got to make space for it so the bigger things can come in. See, so all too often we're living in a world we're living to not lose as opposed to living to win. How many times have we seen sports teams when they start trying to protect their lead? What happens when you start to try to protect your group? When you try to hold on to your 2-run lead, what happens? They go into protect mode. They go into defensive mode, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Yeah, they get lost, and they wind up losing the game. Because here's the thing: how many times have we heard this? You've already won. It's up to you if you lose. Oh, hit me right in the right here. You've already won. When you were a child, when you were 5 years old, when you were 3 years old, many of you are happier than you were now. When you were 3, when you were 4, you were happy. You didn't know all of this stuff. You didn't know all that you knew now. You were like, not even as, you weren't intelligent at all. You didn't have any knowledge at all, but you had listen, you had total connection. You could turn a spoon into a spaceship. You could turn a leaf into a lethal weapon. You turned sticks into swords. You turned crayons into dreams. And now you're all this smart. You got Mont Blanc pens and you got Gucci pants and you're miserable? How many of us are familiar with something called designer clothing? Type a D in the chat if you're familiar with designer clothing. Cool. Are you familiar with designer life? When you decide to design your life, you won't worry about designer clothing. People won't be worrying about what you're wearing. I'm not saying you can't enjoy your work and your efforts and your riches. But how many of you, how many of us, how many of me do we hear the thing, dress for success, and we haven't even built our internal for success? The clothes make the man, the clothes make the woman. They sure do. They sure do. But what happens once they see what's on the inside of the clothes? So all I'm asking you to do is to become more aware of the power that resides in your story. Listen, so tell me, so who designed your life? Oh, my life is by Murphy. But when Murphy gets in the way, it's got to be the big guy's way. Here recently, I've been made aware of more and more how much my life is absolutely driven by the Holy Spirit. I know that may seem strange, but it's not. Because I'm really not this intelligent, but I do have a lot of smarts. So all of this to say, what are you doing today? What part of your story can be revealed today? What are you having issues with today to do more of what you want? Because here's what I do know. In this moment, there's more to you. In this moment, there is more to you. In this moment, there's more.
Good morning, Mr. Sean. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Tamika.
Haha.
So all of these things to say, what's next? What if we stopped worrying about what's next and we really got focused into what's now? Listen carefully. I hope you hear this. I hope I say it well enough for it to sink in. Time management, energy management, project management, task management, calendar management, all of these managements can only happen when? Can only happen now. And the way you manage anything in life, right? You can expect what you inspect. Are you inspecting the now? The reason that life got out of control is because you missed a now sometime in the past. Think about it. The stress you're dealing with now is because there's something that could have happened sooner, something if it's totally out of your control, you had no ability to influence the now, then it's outside of your control. Epictetus said, determine what's within your desire of control and determine what's outside your desire of control. What can't you control? And then just work on what you can. Right now, can every one of you smile? Can any one of you smile bigger? Can you start giggling? You absolutely can. And then once that giggle, once that vibration gets into your soul, gets into your shoes, life changes, energy changes, environment changes. Yeah, focus on what's now, Connie. You're absolutely right. Because in this moment, in this breath, your heart is beating now. It's not beating 10 minutes from now. It's not beating 10 minutes in the past. It can only beat right now. So if your heart is beating now, where's your heart? Here's where your brain and your heart get totally confused. And the heart is the amazing servant of all. It is the most courteous and kind and gentle master that lets the brain, who's the servant, think they're the master. When you see your grandchildren, when you see your children, when you see a puppy, when you see a kitten, you don't have to think, I wonder how I'm supposed to feel when I'm around a kitten or a puppy and smell puppy breath, or a baby, your baby, and it's sleeping and you're standing there in the doorway watching it. You're sitting there on the bed like 6 inches away, listening to your child breathe, and you're just like in total awe of every breath, of every heartbeat, and you're watching their little chest go to-do, 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 to-do. And when they stretch in their sleep and they go, and you're like, you melt. That is not your brain. That is your heart. When a puppy snuggles up underneath your chin and you're like trying to take pictures of it because you're like, oh my God, I need to remember this. That is not your brain. That is your heart. And when you decide to be more in your heart space than your head space, why is meditation such a powerful? Think about it. When I was growing up, if somebody meditated, you thought they wore white coats, Birkenstocks, and they had some kind of bandana around their head, giving you a little red rose at the airport. Right? We're talking 50 years ago. Meditation? Who meditates? What do you need to go to a shrink? Do you want the number to my psychiatrist? Now meditation is everywhere. And here's the problem. When it's everywhere, nobody knows how the heck to do it. Oh yeah, I meditate. Well, I do about 5 minutes. That's good. That's called calming down. That's not called meditation. That's why we can throw words around like mentor. Oh, they're a mentor of mine. Really? Have them spell it backwards to me. We've given away too much of our own control to other people. I make it a point, and it's difficult for guys, but I've had a lot of practice. I make it a point to never tell you what to do. If you've listened to the conversations, I'll make suggestions. I'll ask a whole bunch of questions, but here's what I do know. You know what to do next. You know what to do. I'll go back to Connie's statement. You know what to do now. Listen, if it means jumping off this call and going to get something done, do that now. This call isn't as important as what you need to do now. Because you may need to make a note, and you may need to say, you know what? I'm just going to go spend 10 minutes in solitude and quiet. When I want to go into deep meditation, we have a pantry here at the house. I'll go get a big, like one of the dog beds, because I can't sit on the floor that comfortably yet. And I'll go get a dog bed, take my phone, put it on airplane mode, and turn the recorder on, and just sit and set an alarm for 2 hours and just sit in the dark, because it gets pretty dark in that pantry. It's under the steps. And I'll just sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours. Oh, I don't have time for that. How's your life going? I'm not saying you got to go like start today, because that would absolutely shock your system into an overload. But I am asking you, can you sit quietly without any technology for 30 minutes, 45 minutes? Yeah, I could do that. Then do it for an hour and a half. Do it till it pushes you. Do it till it pushes you. And you're like, oh, that's too much. Because now you're starting to get the brain a little ticked off. You're starting to break your patterns. Can you ask one more question to a prospect? If you've ever had somebody say, that's not for me, how many of you, and some of you on here have, because you're kind of of the elite level of working on yourself. But how many of you have ever said something to the effect of, when somebody said no, hey, listen, do me a favor. At what point did you decide no? Help me get better for the next person, because I don't want to disappoint the next person, because I took 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of your time, and this isn't for you. I should have done a better job of setting the stage so that you wouldn't have wasted 30 minutes. Tell me what I could have done better. And you want to know what happens when you ask that question? Do you want to know how many people, when I got the courage to realize this isn't about me, it's about them? I've had over 50% of those people who said no realize they were really saying no to themselves, and they were using my conversation as an excuse, which is when I learned that the more that I say that teaches them, listen carefully, this is a big one, you're going to want to write this down. The more that I say that teaches them, causes them to go to school. The more I say they remember, reminds them of their dreams. And it is a very fine line between reminding and teaching. It is a very fine line between reminding and teaching. So, listen, I hope you record your presentations. I hope you record your conversations. Because when you start to record them, you will instantly hear, ask somebody else to listen to it. Ask me to listen to it. So tell me where it went sideways. Listen to this call, listen to this. And I only have to hear your side of it. Because human nature, I'll be pretty close at predicting it, how they respond to your information. Right? We were on the phone with Ashley yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And all of the things I kind of targeted and hit. And she's like, you know, you're right on. How can I not how could I not know somebody and all of a sudden be hitting the notes right on when when we were talking with Michelle yesterday, she's like, no, you nailed it all. How is that possible in a 3-minute conversation? Because who you are speaks so loud, I don't need to hear what you're saying. So, if you guys got questions, let's just jump into questions, and it could be on anything, any topic you want to share, any conversation you want to share.
I got one right now.
Go ahead, Bob.
I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little more on the distinctions between communicating with a puppy and communicating with a prospect. And what I'm thinking about is, if a lot of life is about communication, and as Jim Rohn said, you know, you got to get you some planting going. You got to put enough out there because the birds will get some of your crop, and the hail will get some of your crop. So you got to do a lot of planting. The best example I could give you is, for example, I was in a bar the other night and overheard 3 fat women talking, and their accents appeared to be Scottish. So I approached them and I said, hello, you know, are you ladies from Scotland? And one of them corrected me and said, it's Wales, you bloody idiot, Wales. So I apologized and replied, and I said, I'm so sorry. Are you 3 whales from Scotland? And that was the last thing I remember. So, you know, what's, where's this fine line between, oh, it's a cute puppy, and God,
Hello,
you
Mr.
look like you need my vitamins.
Yeah. So it goes back to, it all circles back to, right, law of attraction, and energies like energy likes energy, right? But we say opposites attract, but that's all this to say is that it is probably opposites attract, because what I'm saying is that if I'm thinking of when Beamish was a puppy, when Jameson was a puppy, and if I have that visual in my head, it changes my vibration. So when I say good morning to somebody, it comes across as good morning. It's literally, we've heard the expression, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person or the right thing to the wrong person. But what's right and what's wrong is not based upon the script. It's based upon the essence with which the script was delivered. So that when I talk about the puppy and I talk about energy, I'm really saying it's how do we get our state into a higher vibration that does actually allow people to attract to us. It's that, ooh, somebody walks into the room, right? There's people who can clear a room when they walk into it, or there's people who everybody go, who's that? So it's a very powerful question, Bob. And the answer is so simple, meaning it really comes down to how it comes across on us. How many of us have ever seen, if you've ever seen somebody type give you a fake smile, just type FS in the chat. If you've ever seen anybody give a fake smile, if you've ever given a fake smile. So how do you know it's a fake smile? Because the micro expressions, there's about, right? There's all of those muscles in the, go FSU, go Orlando. There's all of these things, these subtleties that the body picks up on, that the eyes pick up on. 4 million bits of information, listen, per second, per eye. 4 million bits of information come into the body through the eyes, through the senses, through everything. We're only conscious of 40. So what is the other? This is why it gets exhausting being in a situation that you're not comfortable, because your body is trying to determine the other 3,999,600, right? All of those other bits, it's trying to determine in its nexting, in the brain's nexting, where do I go? What do I do? What do I have to pay attention to? What are they nexting to now? Because your brain is trying to anticipate. 5, 10, 15 seconds in the future, what you're going to say, what path you're going on, right? Those of you that think you don't play chess, oh, you play chess brilliantly when you're having conversations with people. You are anticipating, and they're anticipating. Your brain is going out with about avocado. Well, yeah, see, you weren't anticipating me to go into avocado mode. Unless some of you have listened to me before, you've heard me do that. The brain is nexting about 6 possibilities based upon the past, based upon the now. It's trying to predict in the future, fight or flight. Will this kill me, or how fast can I recognize a pattern?
But that's what I'm asking a question about. How do we prepare for the reality that the meaning of our communication is a response we get, not what we intend? And when we intend one thing and get another, how do we prepare for that without deciding not to communicate at all?
Okay. So when I have a conversation with somebody and they seem to come out of left field with something, I stop and I go, literally, I was not expecting that. Tell me how we got to that. Tell me how did that story, because I was anticipating something totally different. At least I had us in a different ballpark. You took us to a different ballpark. How did we get there? Tell me what went through your head. And I'll ask the question, because I do have a goal when I have a conversation with somebody, whether that's friend, whether that's determined business partner relationship, whether that's whether or not I want to invite them into my business. But I will ask, but if I do get the unexpected, I'm going to ask, how did that show up? I'm not going to gloss over it. I don't mince bits about it, because it's like there's 2 + 2 is 4. How did you come up with 7? I don't say it's wrong, but just tell me how we got here. Because I'm totally out of my league right now. I'm just totally out of my game right now. But I will ask that. And it's funny how, here's the thing. It's funny how the only way we could get there is if they heard something different than what I said. I know you heard what I said, but it's not what I was thinking. So when they go down that path, I have no problem, Bob, going, that was not an answer I was expecting. Tell me how we got there. And it's funny, they'll go, well, listen, think about this. I know when Michelle asks me to do something and I respond, she goes, what question do you think I asked? Or a lot more of the time, when I ask Michelle a question, she'll answer something. Mason and I will look at each other and go, what do you think mommy heard? And we literally, we kind of freeze that moment. And Michelle sits there, and Mason and I'll be sitting on the couch going, what do you think mommy said? Well, with that answer, she thought you said probably this. And she'll say, well, that's exactly what you said. And Mason and I'll just look at each other and start laughing. We'll go, yep, Venus and Mars thing. Because we don't know where they're coming from. We don't know where they've been. We don't know what just happened to them. Right? We've all heard the story about when we change the way we look at things, right? The guy gets on the subway. It's early morning Sunday. There's not a whole lot of people on the subway. Gets on with 5 kids, ages 3 to 9. Gets on there with the 5 kids, and all of a sudden the kids are running around and knocking newspapers out of people's hands and just screaming and hollering. And a lady comes over and sits down next to him and says, sir, could you please collect your unruly children? And he kind of comes out of this fog, and he says, oh, I apologize. Well, children, I'm sorry, we just came from the hospital. Their mother died. Now, how many people just absolutely want to jump into the conversation and just do what they can to help? When we know the rest of the story, we'll start to understand the story. So all too often is that we go with an intention, and our intention is never met with their conversation.
So it sounds to me like what this suggests is to constantly live in a state of curiosity.
Yeah.
If we're always looking to figure things out or to ask questions, that pretty much gets us through, even though, occasionally we get into trouble, like asking, are you 3 ladies from Scotland?
Right. Yep. So it is. It's about being curious enough. So I think that brings up something that's just downloading now, that if we become curious enough, can we raise their level of curiosity in us? How we attained our level of curiosity. And listen, I know it sounds, the wording is probably not going to sound, it's like, what? But if we can be curious enough with them, can they be curious enough with us if we can find out more wonderful things about them? Think about that. Most people would love to have their story in lights if it gave them recognition. Recognition. Babies cry for it, men and women die for it. We know in this profession, people will do more for a pin they will do for a check. So can we be curious enough that they continually come to us and continually enjoy conversations with us because of our continued curiosity? It brings out more of their best. Great conversation. Good morning, all those of you that recently joined us. Go ahead and send out your 3 messages. And if anyone that's new on the call, drop an N in the chat so we can welcome you and just say thank you for being here. Thanks for listening to somebody who said you should get on these calls. So appreciate you being here. Good morning, Shammy. I see that amazing little mommy hand raised there.
Good morning.
That's the bestest.
I wanted to ask about recording yourself. And also, if you don't mind, I only got half of, it's breakfast time. I only got half of what you said. You said the more I say that teaches them, sends them to school, and the more I say.
So the more I get them to remember their dreams.
The more, excuse me?
The more I get them to remember their dreams. Keep them engaged. I'm not here to educate you. I don't get paid to educate. I get paid to have a conversation with them in a way that, good morning, Mary. Yes, I'm glad you get to watch the replays. If I can get them to remember why they're even having a conversation with me and to remember some things, that more of the things they want and less of the things they don't, then that's how I create relationships. I help people take action on the things they want and take action on the things they don't want, so they stop doing them.
And the state of mind that encourages that is curiosity.
Yep. Absolutely. Does that help, Shammy?
Okay. Yes, that makes total sense.
Right?
Yeah, when you said it, I was like, wow, what did that mean?
So right now, when you have conversations with the children, you're wanting them to do things, at some point you're trying to teach them to remember. Okay, if you offer them the toy theory, right? Get this and we'll get a toy, or we'll go do this, or we'll go do that. You're reminding them of what joy looks like. And you're saying, if you complete this task that I've asked you to do that you don't want to do, there's going to be some joy at the end of your uncomfortableness. Isn't that prospecting to the nth degree? Aren't you prospecting your children to smile, to be happy? Shh, be quiet. Mommy's doing something. Well, what does that mean? It just means, oh, so now the child goes into memory going, well, whenever mommy goes, shh, I'm doing something, she wants us to be quiet. What's the antithesis of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've never recorded myself before, so I kind of wanted to see if you can elaborate on recording myself. Do you mean like for business wise, or just in general?
Yes. Listen to how I record some time, put the phone down and record 45 minutes with the kids and go back and listen and ask yourself, is that the mom I want to be?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you go, well, I don't know why they're not listening. Go back and listen to what you said the last 45 minutes, and then you'll determine. Listen to it, but listen to it as the observer. It could get very emotional.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I can't believe I say that to my kids. That's what my mom used to say. Huh, funny how that happens.
that's a really big tip with my big girl.
Yep.
That we have really good conversations
And I would record when you have a conversation with your kid. I record when I talk with Mason all the time. Why? Because that's the only chance I'll have to record him at that age, at that moment, at that now. And I have hours of recordings. I video him all the time. I'll have him come into the studio and I'll ask him questions. He's like, Dad. I'm like, dude, how's my rule? Sit down. I want to talk to you. Why? Because I want them to remember when they were little too. It shows how much for me, this is validation for me to how much I wrote letters to Mason before he was born. So all I'm saying is that I would record as much as you can with your kids. I'd go get a Dropbox or Amazon or Google Drive and to store all of that. It is precious. We miss these moments. We take a photo, we post it on Facebook. Listen, what about Heartbook? Where's your Heartbook of memories? All of these videos, all of these morning calls. Sorry to let you in on a little secret. They're not for you. They're for my great-great-grandchildren. They're for the children that I may never get a chance to meet when they go, where does all of this looniness come from? If your great-great-grandfather, you never met him, but their nose, or your great-great-grandmother, their nose is on your face, you want to know where your little idiosyncrasies, your little ticks come from. Well, now my great-great-grandkids and generations beyond have hundreds of hours to watch and learn about one of the guys that was responsible for their success. Or their failures, one of the way. We're not sure this is working out yet.
actually reminds me, my daughter has always been more, she's always wanted to like do videos and record it. She's really creative. She's always wanted to like, she actually told me when she was like 3 or 4, mom, I want a vlog, because she has a really good speech ever since like really young age. And at like 3 or 4, she's like, Mom, I want a vlog. And I was like, what is that? What's a vlog? And I've never really recorded. I'm gonna do that though. I think that's awesome.
Hey, listen, don't beat yourself up for what you haven't done. When can you do anything?
Now.
So that's all you do, is you start now. Don't be a mom and go, oh, I should have done this. I missed out on so much. She could be 18 and we could be having this conversation again. So I'd start now.
Yeah, I just have to look into storage, because I tend to lose or break phones. And
well, check out. So Amazon, listen, Amazon will store unlimited photos. Unlimited photos. If you have Amazon Prime, unlimited photos. You can look at AWS, Amazon Web Service. They have a free storage. Google Drive has free storage. It's when you start to we bump up against the higher ends, right? So I think I pay $10 a month for 2 terabytes of Google Drive hard drive, but I've got, I probably have 60 terabytes of videos, but that's important to me.
Yeah.
So you'll figure it out. And if I can answer questions as we go through that, but I would encourage all of you. I'd encourage all of you to video your parents, have conversations. I spent 5 hours interviewing my dad before he passed, like not on his deathbed. He was here, but I put a camera up and I got 5 hours of video of content. You talk about behind the scenes content. This was like behind the scenes, behind the scenes, behind the scenes. Interview your parents. You want to know why you're so amazing and screwed up all in the same breath? You have some conversations with your parents and listen to how the answers to their dialogues come up. You're like, oh my God, that explains so much. You are made by your environment, and your personal reality comes from your personality. So where does your personality come from? Comes from your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, the way you respond to stuff. The way you interact with stuff. You didn't figure this out on your own. Your environment gave you all of this stuff. The way you think about money is probably the same way your parents thought about money. You may think differently, but your results probably aren't that much different. And why is that? Because we all have this much space. You've just put the small bills in it, right? I've said this before. You can't have $1 million success when you have penny dreams. And you can't have people curious about you if you're not curious about them. And going with Bob's conversation this morning. I wish people would just listen to me. They could hear more about my business. Well, why would they want to listen to you? Can you get them to listen to you? People pay to go laugh. People pay to go laugh. Why aren't they showing up to hang out with you? They don't even have to pay. Well, because they feel they're going to pay in another way. Part of what we do in helping people remember, it's a tough job. It's one of the toughest jobs there is. Remember why your life sucks right now. That's in essence what you're saying. That's in essence how many of your conversations come across. Thanks for reminding me my life sucks. I could have stayed home and just hit my head against the wall a couple of times and felt the same way and saved on gas. What will change? You know what the biggest change you could ever do is stay focused in the now. I'm serious. That is one of the most difficult things to do, is to stay in the present. In this moment, where you're at, in your home, in your car. Is life really miserable? If an alien was sitting next to you who didn't have all of your stories and they just popped up, they just vaporized, they just materialized, they beamed into your car or into your room, would they go, this is pretty nice? Is this how Earth is everywhere? You guys have rooms and houses and roofs and water. You got water. You've got technology. What is this electric thing that you're doing? This device that you're communicating with the world. Really, this is pretty hot what you're doing right now. And then here's where the problem starts. When that alien beams to another place, that alien now has another experience that they can do what with? Compare. And when you get out of the now, you can't compare in the now. You can't. If you're in the now and you're in your breath and you're in your heartbeat, you're in your space, there is no comparing. I'm not good enough, tall enough, short enough, white enough, dark enough, curly hair, straight hair, rich enough, poor enough. In this moment, how could you ever be out of joy? Because there's only this moment. And when this moment is gone, when you have no more moments, that's when people will give up everything they have to have one more moment. You want to talk about 30 seconds? Isn't a whole lot of time? Tell that to the person who's trying to run to their parents' bed before they pass. And they missed it by 30 seconds. You want to talk about a day? My mom was having her last hurrah, right? She was bad. You better get here. Mom's fading quick. And then there was about 12 hours where it's the last hurrah. If any of you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying. It was her last hurrah. And it's like, I'm not going to make it. We're not going to be there in time. She's going to go back out of this. She's going to fade this. She's going to lose all of this. And sure enough, I missed it by 4 hours. There was still a part of her there, but I missed it. 4 hours. So now the question is could I have left earlier, 4 hours earlier? The answer is absolutely yes. If I'd have known that, but I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't in the now. So I'd ask you to be a little bit more present in the now. Record yourself. See what you're doing in the now. And then look back on it as a mentor and say, there's a couple of things in there you might want to adjust. Or you do this very well. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you did that so well. It's your life. Nobody else is responsible for it. Nobody else is responsible to you. And if nobody else is responsible to you, you shouldn't be responsible to anybody else. You should be responsible to them, not for them. They have to take their steps. Can you be curious enough, right? What do we do when we try to get a child to walk? We stand there at the other end of the room and we go, come on, come on, come on, come on. Woo, blah, blah, blah. And we do all of that stuff to get them focused, to do something they didn't think they could do, to do something they've fallen down 100 times to do something they're totally scared to do. But because you're there encouraging them, can you be your own cheerleader? Can you be the one that's cheering yourself on, that's helping you raise your own spirit? That's who's encouraging you. I bet you if you listen to the music you listen to, and there's a this to women and that to this and whatever, and some of you may not, but some of you got to be aware of what's going in, right? If output is based upon input, what's your input? This call is an input. I hope it brings value, because if it doesn't, don't spend your time here. Life is too important. The now is too important to miss out on a now. Questions, comments, thoughts? Good Friday morning to everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Sean.
Good morning, Manny.
How you doing today, sir?
Standing, brother. Good to see you inside on a cold day.
Yeah, I like to run away from people when I want to speak, so nobody bothers me. But it's crazy that you're specifically saying that, because that has kind of been my thought process for probably like a month now. And as time goes on, like I see more and more and more and more and more how much power words actually have. And I was listening to this hip hop song the other day, and it said a specific sentence that it was a good song. I liked the song, but I didn't like that specific part of the song. And I didn't want to put that into the universe. And just the thought of that sentence even having a 1% chance of coming true gave me goosebumps. And I turned the song off. I'm like, and it was stuck in my head, and I was like trying to get it out of my head. And I just kept saying it in my head until it eventually got out for the most part. But it's super crazy that you say that, because a diet is not just food. A diet is what you read. A diet is what you see. A diet is what you listen. It's all of these stuff that's different. That's different diets. And I just thought that's super cool what you said. And I've been super obsessed. And I have a Google Home at home. And every time I say, "Hey Google," my daughter knows what song I'm gonna play. And it's "I Smile" by Kirk Franklin. It says, "Today's a new day, but there is no," and she's like, "You always play that song." I'm like, I love it. I love it. It makes me happy. Like, that's the words that I want coming out of my mouth. And it was just super cool, because that's the state of mind that I'm in. Super, super, super careful of like what I listen to and what I say. And also, I didn't get on that weekend call, but I was looking at the pre-recorded of are you passing time with what you're doing, or is it like a historic date? And then on this call, you said when you wrote a letter to your unborn son, and I kind of got teary-eyed, because when we were waiting for the birth of my son, I was up all night. I didn't sleep, and my wife had fell asleep at 2:26 a.m. And when she fell asleep, I had took my notebook out, because I took her with me to the hospital. and I wrote letter. I said, "Dear Noah Amir," and I dated it, and I put the time, 2:26 a.m. And I read it probably like a month ago, maybe. I had told my wife that I had written it because she had no idea. And she's like, I want to read it. I want to read it. I'm like, when I fill this, because it was like on the end of the book, I was like, when I fill this book up and I physically get to that part of that book, then we'll read it together. And that's kind of, I've been slacking on it, but that kind of started my, I wouldn't call it a passion because it's not a passion yet, but I saw how powerful journaling is. And it was so cool to be able to look back and see that time stamp. And every day I try my best when I'm about to speak to somebody, whatever way it may be, whether I'm going to order something, whether it is a good morning, I want that to be a historic time. I don't want it to be just, oh, hello, good morning, how you, a passive time. I want that to be the best good morning that they ever heard in their life, that they can say, hey, today, this morning at like around 8:30, this crazy guy came in and gave me the coolest good morning that I ever heard. So it was super cool that you said that. And I just wanted to share that.
Well, Manny, thank you for that. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere that we have a decision to be in the now. And vibration is everything, and curiosity is everything. And when you decide that you're going to be the father that you choose to be, the husband you choose to be, you get to choose that now. And the enemy will show up with certain things, sliding them in, right? Conversations with the Devil. What a great story that is. What a great book that is. And you can listen to that on YouTube with the words right there. And you've got the two voices between what was supposedly Napoleon Hill and the devil. And he interviews him. And the conversations that he has there about how the enemy slips in, and he goes, I can't be everywhere. But he uses other tools, and he uses music, and he uses people, and he uses traffic, and he uses everything to get us out of our state of joy. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Manny. Thanks.
And one more thing.
Yep.
Google Photos has unlimited storage.
They do.
And it actually backs your phone up. As you take a picture, it actually backs it up. And
Yep.
it has unlimited storage. And I've kind of been using and abusing it now since I found it out. And yesterday we were in my daughter's room and we were playing like a kid's version of the block Jenga, I think it's called, but it's like a kid's version. And I recorded probably like 15 minutes of like my daughter, her cousin, her same age, my son in the room, my wife, just like fooling around. And I just like let it record, and it backed it up immediately. So then I deleted it off my phone and then I recorded. So I just been using it and abusing it because I had Google Drive, but I hit that kind of peak where you need to purchase.
Yeah, Google Photos. It used to be called Picasa, but now it's just Google Photos. So, and they'll store videos and that. And I think they just recently they've come out with now a benchmark of storage. So, but just check it out. But here's what I will say. In my Amazon photos, because I have Amazon Prime, and it works for iPhone users as well. Just got to download your Google, right? I still use Gmail. So it just links to all of that in all my Google Drive. But I have 35,000 photos in Amazon, and I have them in both places, Amazon and Google, in case one of them ever gets mad. So there you go. Yeah, it's important to create your memories, because when you're lost in the moment, sometimes you can go back to memorable moments.
Yeah. And one more thing. I'm sorry, one more.
Yep.
And yesterday also, my daughter has a book report, a biography, and we was reading through the packet. It was her vacation homework, and I wasn't a big school person, but now that I'm older, I wouldn't say I like school, but I'm obsessed with learning. I just want to learn, and like I got this like super like train of thought, and I'm like, let's make it something cool. Like you're gonna learn about somebody, like something that they do. So I told her, I'm like, let's leave it, and tomorrow we'll go to the library and like we'll try and get some books. But tonight, let's just brainstorm on who you would like to research. So we sat down and I kind of just like, I was throwing ideas at her, like the first scientist, she likes animals, the first marine biologist. Like we were just kind of like going back and forth. And then long story short, it came up, Walt Disney came up. And I'm like, that's super cool. I'm like, that's a super.
Manny's phone cut out. So Manny gets back. Ray Barbudo in the house. Let's go to Ray.
Yes, Manny, God bless you. You have really gotten me going. But I'm choking up here because he's really given me some great memories for you kids today. And I am so proud of each and every one of you that are on these calls each and every day. But you have no idea how blessed you are to be living in this time on this earth because of the level of technology and the things that you have available to you. I'm 70 years old now. I didn't have any of this stuff. I mean, I remember being on a phone and there was 4 or 5 other people on the line. Then we went to the cell phones and the bag phones. You probably have no idea what a bag phone is, but we used to carry those around. I mean, we would pay $3, $4, $5 a minute for a phone call. So things have totally changed. But to help some of you, I have been a lunatic most of my life in taking pictures. Years ago, to give you an example, the level of pictures, we were in Hawaii for 2 weeks. I took 1,275 pictures. And when it came time, unfortunately, after 38 years of marriage and my marriage came to an end, those pictures were taken away from me. But because of the technology, it was all stored on the computer. Well, I had the hard drive. I have all those pictures today. When Sean was talking about doing things for individuals, like when we send out each day at least 3 messages per day, since both my daughters have gotten their cell phones, my oldest one now is 34. And by the way, if you ever see ads for Pill Pack, my daughter is the head pharmacist of that. Every order that goes out of that company her name is on all of those orders. But anyway, since the youngest one and the oldest one have gotten their cell phones, every 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would always send them out text messages. I have been doing that now for 15 plus years. You have no idea of the impact when you send these messages out to the individuals, what it does for them. Never, ever, ever stop saying that you love somebody. The last words to both my mother and to my father, I said to my father on a Sunday night, I used to work 3rd shift in a company called Raytheon. I was in a very high security place back then. I was 19. I said to my father, I love you. It's the last words. The following morning, when I came home, I was informed that he had passed during the night because I was in such a high security area. They couldn't get a hold of me. And to help each and every one of you, the greatest words ever said to me were by my grandfather. When he came in and he said to me at the funeral home, after 3 days, back then it was 3 days of wake, and on the 4th day, you buried your loved one. And I'm telling you, it was brutal. My father, who had been in the oil business all of his life, there was over 2,000 people that came during those 3 days. And I had to stand there at the front door with my Uncle Angelo and having all these people come in. And back then it was a lot of Italians. I had no idea what the hell they were talking about, but they would hug me, pinch my cheek and stuff like that. So finally on the third night, my best friend's parents came in. At that point, being an only child, because my mother had already lost my brother and sister, I just couldn't hold it anymore. I wasn't strong enough. I went into a side room, and my grandfather, who I absolutely loved and adored, came in and sat down to me. And these are the words I want you all to remember. When you lose someone that you love dearly, these are the words that he said to me. Ray, and I said, yeah, Gramp, because when you lose somebody that you love so much, you really are going to learn what it's like to be beside yourself. You're going to hear the words, but it's going to take you a period of time to absorb it. And he goes and he says, Ray, and I said, yeah, Gramp. He says, can I say something to you? And I said, of course you can. And these are the words he said to me. Are you crying because you were proud that you knew him? Or are you crying because you wanted to say something to him? To this day, I am so proud of my father because of the things that he instilled in me. Always tell your children, always tell your parents, always tell those people that you say that you love, that you do love them. Because you just don't know. With my mother, the last words I said to my mother, Ma, I'm leaving, I love you, and out the door I went, and off to work I went. I ended up in Augusta, Maine. I got a phone call from my aunt to let me know that my mother had been found in a square in Somerville, Massachusetts. She was on the ground. She had a cerebral hemorrhage. By the time I got there, she was in the hospital and there was nothing that I could do about it. But when I held her hand and she took her last breath, I knew that she knew that I loved her. Always, always, always tell those people that you love, that you truly love them. Don't be afraid. Here's a perfect example of what Sean has done now. He is so instilled back in me again to remember so many things I used to do with Sean. I used to, with every single day, I used to text Sean on an hourly basis, a Y or an N. Yes, I have done something for somebody today, or yes, I have done something for myself, or no, I haven't. For many years, I did that with him. These textings that he recommends that you do. He doesn't tell you to do it. He recommends that you do it. Now I've gone, instead of that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to every day. Here is some of the things that I've said yesterday to both my daughters, and each one gets it separately. Good morning on this beautiful Thursday. Why is it a beautiful day? Because you're here. I love you. This morning, holy smokes, it's Friday and the last work day of the week. More importantly, it's another I love you day. More proud of you today than yesterday. Say things like that. You cannot believe at the response that you get. When I was going through that terrible, terrible time a few years ago, to have your children look at you and to say, Dad, you've been a good dad, and I am so fortunate and blessed that you are my dad. To hear those words come out of your children, I'm telling you, it is amazing. I'm, like they say, I'm on the autumn part of my life. You people, you wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people have such a wonderful heart. You have the ability now to truly change this world. You can do it by sending love through these things. Besides doing this, tell them on the phone, tell them in person, tell them that you love them, because you can and you are and you will change this world. I am so proud of each and every one of you. God bless you all. Sean, thanks for letting me talk again. Bye, everyone.
How could you just not fall in love with him? More importantly, here's the tough question. How could you not fall in love with you? That's the part I want you to get, is that what he's sharing with you, this wisdom, it does, right? Jim Rohn said it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. I'm not asking you to go sponsor 50 people. I'm saying go love the people you have. Get more in love with you. Become more curious in how to love yourself more. Because when you do that, you wind up, listen, I can speak to this from personal experience. When you love somebody, when you love yourself so much that you can love just about anyone, you'll get them to do things they don't even want to do. And you'll get them to have experiences they never knew they could have. Because they fall in love with you. But they can't love you if you don't love you. Thanks, Ray, for sharing that, brother. Love you, man. Bree, good morning. Bree, Billionaire 3. Let's go to Bree, Billionaire 3 on line 34.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Bree, good morning.
Okay, perfect. So I actually had a story. Sorry, my phone's kind of acting up. But I had a story of a situation that happened to me the other day, and I kind of wanted to share. So I love the fact that, and I've mentioned this before on the call, but the saying that you said it multiple times, do less and be more, right? And so I've kind of like internalized, and I've heard it so many times, so many times in my life. But when I heard it on this call, it's for the first time I actually listened to it with my heart, and I actually internalized it. And so, and I don't know if you remember, on January 27th, I made the full decision to go after my dreams full force. And I've been working every single day to get more in alignment with God and with the universe, and you know, picking up on those little subtle signs that we get throughout the day. And so on Wednesday night, I actually went to the dollar store to buy a couple of things, and the cashier there, I've seen him a couple of times at the store, and he's always very bubbly and very energetic, but this day he kind of looked a little sad. And so I kind of I had a conversation with him and gave him some compliments, and you know, tried to uplift his spirits. And what was crazy was, so I thought that I was sent to that store to uplift his spirits, because I could feel the energy shift in him, as you know, right before I left. But as soon as I walked out the door, you guys, I'm shaking because I'm so excited. But as soon as I walked out the door, there was a woman that was walking, and I was walking straight to my car, and she stopped and she looked back and she said, "Hey, ma'am, would you mind giving me a ride?" And immediately my old story came in, and it was like, stranger danger, stranger danger. And so I'm over there freaking out, and I'm like, should I give her a ride? But there was this little subtle voice, and the voice said, "You're safe, Bree." And my heart started pounding. And the old version of me would have associated that with the anxiety, trying to make it, make that excuse. But I'm so grateful for the progress that I've made, because now I'm able to realize that that is God's way of speaking to me. And so I did give her a ride. And excuse me if I get emotional as I get to this part, but when I gave her a ride home, I felt the urge to speak, but that voice in me again said, breathe, just be in the moment, just listen to what she's saying. And so I sat there and I listened. And without giving too many details, this woman has gone through so much in the last 4 months. And she actually lost her husband a couple of months ago. And it was a situation that was very similar to a situation that I had personally gone through last year. And it was like the feeling that I had got in that moment, I just knew that I was in the right spot at the right place at the right time. And I know that I didn't, in that moment, I didn't speak much to her and I didn't say many things to her, but I know that one, she even said she felt a lot better even with that car ride. And it was like less than 10 minutes of a car ride of us being together. And what's crazy is that today I just left my house to go buy her some flowers and cookie cake, because I want to go surprise her today, and kind of make her, start her morning off really well. But I gave that example to you guys to express the importance of what we've talked about throughout this entire call, is paying attention to those moments, because it's not about us. It's about spreading that love and being in the moment. Because you guys, if I wasn't in that moment, if I would have listened to that old story, that old paradigm, that woman would have been in the cold. I live in Missouri, you guys, in the cold. She would have been walking home in the dark. And it was like 8, close to 9 o'clock at night. Like, this was late at night. And I was just so very blessed to be in that position, to just extend a lending hand. But yes, I'm just in awe, because it's those little moments that we could be so quick to overlook. But if we take just an extra second to think, why am I here? Why am I in the perfect position to get these signs from the universe, to get these signs from God? Because, and my mentor says it all the time, success leaves clues. And throughout life, we have these clues and we have these signs that we're everything in life is perfect, and we're always in the perfect position at the perfect time. But if we just take a few seconds to really be in that moment, we may be able to help somebody else more than we could have ever imagined. And so I just wanted to share that with you all. And I thank you all so much for just pouring, for first off answering the call, just to spread that love and joy. Because like Ray said, we as a community in this family are very unique, and I absolutely love it. And I know that we're making so many changes in the world, because even in my personal experience, I've seen a drastic change in the last couple of weeks, let alone a year. So I can only imagine, if we consistently get on these calls and consistently spread love, consistently send those 3+ messages every single day, we are spreading that love and planting those seeds, like Sean said. So I absolutely love you guys, and thank you so much, Sean, for allowing me to share this experience with you guys.
Well, Bree, this is what we need. So going back to a question Bob had earlier, how do you show up for the unexpected, and how do you prepare for the unexpected? We weren't expecting this call, your conversation, but how many of us feel better because we were able to sit in the moment, right? And it's not about me giving a call to me. This isn't my call. I just happen to turn it on and turn it off, but this is your call. If I can say something that'll spark something. So on the 27th sparked something in Bree that now yesterday allows us to give a woman a ride home. We all gave the woman the ride home. I hope you all know that. Bree's the one that did the physical effort. You get this? This is what this is. This is what happens inside of a community, right? A culture. What if this culture, cult, this is a cult of just, we're going to spread the love. We're going to be present. We're going to do our best to not be harmed. But sometimes when we give away our joy and somebody throws it on the ground, we get upset with it. But we can work through that. It's only ours to give. What they do with it is not up to us. So Bree, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for having the courage. And we're glad to hear you excited. We're glad to hear you enjoy. So, Laura Mendez.
Good morning.
Good morning, my love.
How are you guys?
Outstanding.
That's amazing. Woof. I've been crying like this whole time since like you started the call. So I'm feeling a lot, and I was like, I might as well share, because that's what we do here. So I was rushing yesterday, but I don't know if you remember a little bit of what I shared with you guys yesterday about well, I guess before I get to that, why do I want to share what I'm going to share today? Ever since I started listening to you, Sean, I like the number one message that has always like stuck, with me is just listen, like just be in the moment, just listen, like be quiet, just listen, right? Because I talk a lot. So, when it comes to the business, I just talk, and I just like vomit and, but I'm learning, I'm changing, everything's, it's good. But the just listen, right? So, well, it was Tuesday actually when I met with my friends, and I told you about when, what he shared about his mom that shot herself and all of that. So this week has just been super emotional, and of course, like after that meeting with them, and I got home and I was just like completely like I lost it. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I haven't been a good friend, like besides the business, like I could care less about the business at that point. I was just like, I am not listening. What am I doing? I'm wasting my life, literally. I'm losing all these memories, all these moments, just because I am assuming and, I guess I wanted to react, to whatever they're saying instead of just listening to them, right? So I was just feeling really emotional. Again, I was just like my purpose, and I guess like my desire has always been to make people feel good, and that's just in me. And when I found out that I wasn't there for him, and I didn't know about this, I didn't know how to react, right? So I was just at that point I was like, okay, now more than ever I just need to listen, right? So I just didn't say anything, and all I said, after he shared all of that, all I said was, hey, I hope that that if you ever want to vomit on someone, I'm just a call away and you can talk to me. And he just looked at me in the eyes and he said, I know. So anyway, I left, and the reason why we met, on Tuesday was because he wanted to start a podcast that's called The Good News. And so I just happened to be in town, and I was like, okay, because he was the first guest to his podcast was my other friend. So I just met with them, randomly. And then I wanted to know about the podcast. There was something about the podcast that was like, this is kind of cool, because I like podcasts. So he was telling me that the reason of the podcast was just to interview people to hear, or like for them to share good news, like just something good and something that they're grateful for that's happening in their life. And so, see, when he shared that with me was even before he shared what happened with his mom. So I was just like super like encouraged, about the fact that he just wanted to start the podcast just because, so that was really cool. But after he shared what happened with his mom, I was like, wow, he's still wanting to pour out into people even though this just happened, like this is crazy. Like, what am I doing when I feel like poop? And am I even wanting to pour into people? Like, am I just thinking about me? I'm just selfish. So I was just like being really hard on myself. So that's why I was having a hard time. And then yesterday he released the first episode of the podcast, and I was listening to it, and I was so emotional because it was so funny because they talked about me in the podcast.
Aww.
And they just mentioned me a couple of times, sharing how grateful they were for me, and because I like shared books with them and like little things like that. And I was like, whoa, and here I am like thinking that I haven't done anything in my life, right? And here's just one person, that is just grateful for some little thing that I did. And so I thought about, okay, if my purpose is impacting people positively, it's just one person that I impact enough for me, or am I looking for fame? And I always remember that one, that one episode that you talked about that.
Yep, with Scott
And I was
Shield.
like, wow. And I was just blown away. So here I was crying, throughout the whole episode, and I was just listening to it. But I was just really, really encouraged, about that. And also something that happened recently as well is the person that, and I'm sorry I'm talking a lot, but
No, you're good. Go, girl.
I got this part-time job because I needed to, I just needed like another source of income. So I found this job randomly on Indeed, and it was just like super, super weird the way that I got to the job, right? Anyway, the person that I work with, she's amazing, and like ever since I started working, she's been like another mom to me, and she's amazing. So it was just super random that I got a part-time job. When I had the interview with her, I was like super clear with her. I was like, hey, like honestly, like I just need something else. I have a business on the side, and I'm just more focused on that, And here I am telling basically the person that's interviewing me that, hey, I don't even know if I'm gonna leave in like a year. Like who would hire someone like that? So just the fact that I got the job was incredible. And she told me like months in, she said that the only reason why she hired me was because there was something about me and my energy that made her feel comfortable. So starting with that, I was already feeling really good about just the blessing that, I had in my hands, that job. But anyway, long story short, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, she got to the office and she was just like crying, and I was like, what happened? What's going on? And she was just like, I have to share something with you. This is I was a little embarrassed to share this with you, but I have to. And she said to me, you are an inspiration to me. This is a 55-year-old woman, okay? And she said, you are an inspiration to me. And then she said, the book that you gave me for Christmas is the first book that I've read in my whole life. And that just like, so this is why I've been so emotional for the past like 3 weeks. And I just like, wow. And there I was again, just listen, Laura, don't say anything. So I was just listening. And she was just saying how she felt like the reason why I was there wasn't because of the job at all, but she just felt like I was there for her to be like the companion that she never had. She's divorced and she doesn't have any kids. So no wonder, why I guess she feels, very attached to me as well. But another thing is that she talks a lot. And sometimes like I don't even do any of the work because I'm just there sitting down listening to her. And this has been going on for a couple months. And so at the beginning I was just like, wow, I'm getting paid to listen to people. So this was kind of cool, but there I was, my ego was a little, not good. So I was just like, okay, the more we talk, good, because I don't really work and I just listen and I get paid. But then, since I started listening to your calls, everything just changed. I was like, what if I'm there, not even because of the money, but I'm just there to listen to someone? What if it's that one person that I need to impact? And when she said that I inspired her, again, I'm 24, she's 55, that someone like that tells me that I'm an inspiration. And I'm just like, I'm just blown away. And it's just like the little things that you do that you don't know, but if you're just present in the moment and you just listen, you don't know how many people you're impacting. Maybe they'll never tell you, because I don't know how long she's been sitting with this. And she told me that. And I was just like, I was blown away. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Well, Laura, thank you for being present. I'm 54 and you inspire me. You're the reason I get up for these calls. Every one of you are the reason I get up for these calls. I don't need to hear myself. I need to hear stories like that. And how can I use some of my experience? How can I use some of my heartache? How can I use some of the things that I've been through to help give you a little bit more of what you want and less of what you don't? But you're giving somebody the chance to, maybe for the first time in her life, be heard. That's the business we're in. What if that was the story? Listen, I get paid to help people. Help them with their health, help them with their finances, help them with their family, help them with themselves. I've just become good at helping people. You're becoming good at helping people. You're having an awakening. Bree's having an awakening. She could have easily went, here's the powerful part. I recognize the old story. Do you know how powerful that is? Do you know how many people are in their 70s and 80s and 50s and 60s and they still haven't recognized the old story and they keep going for personal development? It's why I was shocked that the website Personal Undevelopment was available, because everybody's trying to develop. You're undeveloping. I heard it somewhere. I don't know if it was Brene Brown or who it was. It could have been a spiritual speaker, but your tears are what you're doing to water your seed of growth. You're going to have tears. Tears are okay. That's what's going to water the next part of your life. So I'm so proud of you. I sit here like your big brother. I'm old enough to be your dad, but I sit here as a person of influence, being influenced by you, to say, you know what? Yep, got to get up tomorrow. Yep, got to do this again. Yep. So, thank you. And Michael, thank you for being vulnerable and typing that out in the text, that this is a place for you to come and share your energy. Love you for that. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hey, RBP, what's going on in that little noggin of yours? Oh, by the way, I just got to throw some kudos out to our girl. Our company had a corporate call last night, and a business call, and they asked somebody to do a testimonial. Now, we've been around for 6 years. This is the first corporate call. Imagine that. And it was the first corporate call of the very first time of after 6 years. And the person that they asked to be on it is our own RBP. So we've got like rock stars all over the place. So good morning, Rhonda Bird-Parker.
Good morning. Thank you, Sean. Y'all, I'm over here busting at the seams. Man, y'all, that is everything y'all talked about is the epitome of doing less and being more, even to the last story of Laura getting hired to do less. And she's becoming more. She's literally doing nothing and listening to somebody and becoming more. Every one of y'all are awakening. And I can see it only because I know what it feels like, because I've recently gone through that. And I'm trying not to get emotional because you guys are
kicking
getting
and
out of
screaming,
the way.
by the way. Kicking and screaming,
I
by the
know.
way.
Yeah, I was. You guys are just showing up. And here's what's crazy. I do a Bible study every Thursday morning, and there's only about 7 or 8 of us. And we're going over Matthew chapter 5. It's the Beatitudes. And y'all are hitting them all like crazy. And yesterday we went over one, and it was, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Every one of us on this call we're hungry and we're thirsty for righteousness. And it's exactly what Sean said at the beginning. Something will fill you. And you guys are taking the time to get filled with some good stuff. And then Manny hit on it. This is so crazy how God works. Manny hit on it, and he started talking about kind of, he put me in the thought of, what are you hungry for? And he listened to a song and he was like, no, 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 no. I don't want to be filled with that. I'm hungry for something else. And he put on Kirk Franklin, and I love me some Kirk Franklin. Y'all, he's amazing. And all my notes yesterday from Bible study, all my notes are questions like these. Can you be satisfied with divine contentment? And that's what we're getting on these phone calls. And that's Bree's story. And that's Laura's story. And that's Manny's story. And then I had questions like, have you ever felt a spiritual stomach growling? Like you're hungry for more. And that's why we get on these calls every morning. And you guys are saying it. And then it made me think of my sexy friend Noah yesterday. And I said, oh my goodness, what fuel are we running on? And is that why we get on these calls every morning? Because we need a little bit more good fuel? Bye, Raymond, we love you. And how does whatever you're doing feed you? How does what you're listening to feed you? How does what you're hearing feed you? And is it nourishing what you're saying and doing and hearing and listening to? Y'all, everything y'all are doing and saying today is like confirming everything that God put into me yesterday. And I would ask you, with what you're doing, and if you need to tweak it, is the diet, and I mean what you're listening, hearing, and putting into your body, not just in food, is it sustainable? Are you willing to do what it takes to keep growing like this? Laura, Manny, Bree, and Michael, everybody else on this phone call, are you willing to do? I see you, Cadillac. Are you willing to keep doing what's required for this to be sustainable? And it's oftentimes doing less and becoming more. Y'all, this is beautiful. Can you write out a menu, not a food menu, but a menu? I guess you could translate that into kind of like a vision board, or what you're going to do for the day, sending out your notes, talking to people, sitting and being quiet. Can you write out a menu as to what your body needs and what your mind needs and what your heart needs to stay in this kind of awakening, to stay in this moment? Because I don't know about y'all, but y'all just set my hunger level on like overdrive. Like, God, give me more. Give me more people like this in my life. Give me more opportunities to grow and stretch. And that's a bit of a dangerous prayer, because that means it's going to happen. And there'll be some more things that will come into my path that's going to stretch me and move me and shake me up a little bit. And I'm going to be, like Bree out at 9 o'clock at night, and some strange woman's going to give me the stranger danger thing. And I'm going to have to go, hang on a second. And it's going to stretch me. But everything we're doing is reflective in our children and in our generations to come. And we're all changing that together. I'm over here. It sounds silly, like a proud mama going, oh yeah, that's my babies right there. That's my babies. That's my kids. It makes me so happy. I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all don't know what y'all do for me. Y'all set me on a different trajectory and vibration every single day. And when I don't think it can get better, it gets better. And y'all touch me and y'all feed into me. And I am blessed to be a fly on the wall, to get to see y'all develop and open up and awaken. And, it would thrill me to death to see y'all just soar right past us and just go and become exactly what God's created you to become. So I could talk, because y'all have set my heart ablaze today. Like, it was good last night, what I was invited to do and got to do. And then this happens. And then I get to hear from Laura and from Manny and from Bree. Oh, y'all, I'm happy. This East Texas mama is happy. I love y'all. I love y'all. Sean, thank you for letting me be a part of them. Thank you, Leo. I love you. Thank you for letting me talk and share my heart. I love y'all. I love y'all.
Well, there you go. If you ever, so that's energy. So imagine if you happen to bump into Rhonda here in the next hour, what it would feel like. And she would just be hello and putting her hands all over you and hugging you and going, are you good? Are you good? How's everything going? No, tell me. I hear if I feel, I mean, could you imagine if you showed up and didn't have a smile? So that's what we get to do. This is what we get to do. And birds of a feather flock together. You know, some days we got 90 people on the call. Some days we got 30 people on the call. And to think that 38 people on the call is a low number, that's still kind of funny to me. My point is this, the right people at the right time always show up for the right reason. It's so important that you don't get tired, you just don't believe your own press, right? It only takes one. It only takes one. And for Bree, that moment that she had, that'll change her life forever. Filming the videos with his daughter and her cousin for 15 minutes with the mini Jenga blocks, that'll only ever happen once. They may play it again, but it'll never be like that. Right? Telling your mom or your dad you love them like Ray did, that only happens once. And you don't know that it's the last time. Laura wondering, I need to do more. I need to be there present for more. Realizing that she's been present. Sometimes we have to realize, so Laura, I know it's going to sound funny, but I would encourage you to journal that in your book. When one of those 50 things that you've done in life, I would make this number 51. What are those things you've done in life that you didn't know made such an impact? You had no idea that you had given them books or been there, or that this woman says, I've got to tell you that I've been able to listen to you. That's huge. That's life-changing for you and for them. Sometimes when we do slow down, we can let people get into our heart. And when we slow down and we let people get into our heart, the brain goes, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more. No, I just need to listen. And when you start to listen, not only will you hear them, but you may start to get filled by the Holy Spirit a little bit. You may start to get these downloads that you could get. In the old days, you used to go to jail if you told somebody, oh, I just had an idea. I just heard this voice in my head. They'd be like, right? And they'd arrest you. Those voices that you're hearing, the spirit that you're hearing, the love that you're hearing, it could be from your parents, it could be from your grandparents, it could be from the Holy Spirit. But if you listened, you'd be surprised at what you could hear. Farm boy from Ohio, 0.9 grade point average, barely made it through high school, drove by a lot of colleges. By qualifications, by paper, I don't deserve to sit in front of probably all of you. But because of experience, because maybe, possibly, I've learned to listen a little bit better to you and to the words that come to me. I've learned to love a little bit stronger. I've learned to give a little bit more. Listen, I'm the epitome. If I can do it, so can you. Y'all are amazing. Everybody who shared today, everybody who listened today, everybody who typed in the chat today, everybody that's just still on here, everybody that just shows up, thank you for being you. I don't know who else you could be, but thank you for being you. Thank you for being in this moment. I'd encourage us, everybody just here real quick, just take a very big breath. And just take one more big breath. And as you inhale faith and courage, Holy Spirit, inhale faith and love. And then when you exhale fear and doubt. And know that in this moment, there's no other place you can be. I'm so honored that I get to share it with you. I love you tons. Y'all tell each other you love each other. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits. I'll see y'all where? At the next event.
I love you guys. Have a great day.
Love
Love
y'all.
You guys, thank you.
Love you, my Misfit family. Everybody have a blessed day.
Oh, thank you, Ralph.
Positive
Love
day.
y'all.
Have a blessed
Have a great day.
RBP.
Love y'all.
Bye.
There's that smile.
Thanks, Jazzmen.
Y'all
I
have
got
a
your
great
notes,
day.
Jazzmen. You're amazing.